Shalom everyone, I'm Zatzman, your personal economist, and you're watching Playful Economican. Today I'll tell you about HYIPs. I've mentioned this investment instrument a couple of times in my videos, but today I decided to dedicate an entire episode to this issue due to their increasing popularity and a number of recent and not so recent scandals around the world associated with them. Most of you are familiar with the phrase pyramid scheme. This is a scheme that pays off the early investors using the cash flow from new recruits. It can go on and on and on until it becomes unsustainable or unpopular. At that point, payments to the participants usually stop and the organizers of the pyramid disappear with all the cash for good. Thanks to recent developments in financial and IT sector, you don't have to physically take your money to fraudsters anymore. Now you can transfer your cash directly to their digital wallet from the comfort of your own home. But I went too far. Let's go back to the basic. HYIP stands for High Yield Investment Programs. Not many of you probably knew that, but every person who has ever come across them understands that HYIPs are scams that only look like high-yield investment funds. A HYIP is an investment fraud organized from a pyramid that lures its participants into a trap by promising high return of investments and pays off early investors out of the cash flow generated by newcomers. But I already mentioned that. HYIPs can be found only on the internet and are attractive due to the high rate of return. All you need to do is to contribute your money and wait peacefully for payoff. And sometimes it's difficult to tell that you're interested in a fraud. And not all HYIPs are loose deal. Some experts or investors make good money by investing in scams. Therefore, if you understand HYIPs, you can use them to earn cash too. How do you identify a HYIP? Online investment projects are sprouting up and dying out like crazy. They often disguise like ICO, IPO, MFI, mutual business societies, crowdfunding projects, and many of other pseudo-investment schemes. There's no single recipe to identify these ventures. However, they all have some features in common which can help you build a clear picture of a company you're buying into. And the first thing you need to do is some basic research. Look at the website design. It shouldn't be clumsy. The website should look and feel good and user-friendly, be unique and visual. Just check it. It won't take much. Nice formatted text, clickable and working buttons, unique, not standard pictures. Check wherever the website loads properly on all devices and in all browsers. Be suspicious of poorly made or half-functional websites. If the project visually resembles other projects, it can also be a hint of a shady business. I mean, if you visit a website and have an impression that it looks like something else that you are already seen somewhere, your gut feeling is likely to be true. The website content should be consistent with the story the project tells. If it's a crowdfunding project, the website should contain relevant information about the campaigns, who, where, what proposes, how much result achieved. ICOs, IPOs should provide information on the company's latest news, project processes, pre-sales, resales. HYIPs that came to be investment companies offering wealth management services shall clearly state the scope of service and provide all necessary licensing information, and so on. I would recommend you finding websites of real companies offering similar services and check out how they look and what they show. Websites of HYIPs that claim to be brokers offering wealth management services should be in line with their duties and licenses, even if they are fake. There should be at least a page listing their licenses. So, you've got the idea. Compare them to real companies. As a result, you should end up 99% sure that this company does that it claims to do, and that it's not a hype. I also suggest you to read the text on the website carefully. I mean, not only the content, which is important too, but notice also punctuation and spelling mistakes. You can just copy and paste the text into a Microsoft Word document and use the inbuilt spell checker. Examine the context page. You can Google it, and if it's the same contact information used for other projects, this can be a sign of a fly-by-night. After such security, you should have an idea that the website is consistent with the story it tells. At least you should have the impression, because that's the purpose of a hype. Next, look at the technical side of the hype under review. Professionals recommended paying close attention to domain names. For example, Russian domains can be quite risky. You'll know that a Russian domain, if ends with RU, SU or Russian. However, then it ends with net, info and so on, it can be difficult to tell what country it belongs to. In this case, you can Google it. There are websites that provide complete information on domains and hostings once you type in the website URL. And if you see Russia in the info, you'd better choose something else. It is a commonplace practice in Russia to block websites if someone reports the website, and no court decision is needed. Even a single report is enough, and it takes weeks and months to unblock the website. This is enough for any hype to turn into scam, and you might as well say farewell to your money. But I digress. Another thing to look out for is the payment options, specifically the account ownership. The e-wallet provider doesn't matter. That matter is who actually owns the e-wallet. It should be owned by this very company. You can contact the e-wallet support team for the account verification. This information is often openly available on the portal. If everything else fails, you can start at e-wallet with the same service provider and create a money transfer application. Then you'll be able to see the recipient before the application approval. Another benefit of verification is that transactions between verified users usually cost less. Next, do your homework on the hype originators. I know people who find Instagram account of hype owners and keep close watch on their lives, and based on the information decided whether the project is serious and long-term or not. Long-run hypes playing for real can even disclose information about their so-called directors, owners, founders and other top people. Search any information available on them on the internet. Find out whether they are third of participant in similar projects. If you believe that this hype is not their first attempt at such types of ventures, find out how long previous projects existed. It is certainly a red flag for me. Let's take a notorious example of Russian MMM, which is said to be one of the world's largest Ponzi scheme of all time. We can conclude that every next project of the same founder is at least twice as short as the previous one. Carefully read investment terms and conditions. Hypes that have a so-called freezing period have a potential to live longer. Let's say new investors are not allowed to withdraw their money for the first 6 months and can only receive returns during the period. After that, they can withdraw all of the money invested. Why it's good? You see, hypes are strongly affected by options, splendid stories, and all stories are whisper campaigns. If there is even a tiny leak that a hype is a scam and will crash soon, all investors may start withdrawing their money at once. And even if such rumors are eventually proved false, this hype will go bankrupt as a result. And no withdrawing period will mitigate this risk. As a result, the HYIP is protected from mass withdrawals and will have time to restore the reputational damage done. If a HYIP has an office and holds offline events, it is an absolute advantage. If HYIP representatives give lectures, organize promotional events, or celebrate the anniversary of the project, this has a positive effect on the project lifetime and development. It is really the case third. Don't forget about the referral partner program. First, if a project has one, it is a direct indication that the project is a HYIP. Second, the more lucrative provisions are, the shorter the lifetime of the HYIP will be. To that end, 10 to 20% return on investment is generally considered reasonable. So, you did all the above and choose one or even several ventures, which is good because by investing in several projects you minimize your risk of loss. It is called diversification. However, we're still missing one important piece of the puzzle, and that is scam. You've already heard this word. If a company goes scam, it means that it stops paying its investors but can be still soliciting payments for new contributors and its referral program is still working. No hope that such company returns to normal operations and the owners are probably long gone. So, before investing in a company, find out if it's still paying and how close it is to becoming a full-blown scam. You can learn that info by researching a couple of specialized forums. You can type HYIP forums or scam forums into your web browser and I'm sure you'll find all those forums that many HYIP investors, me included, use for their investigations. There you will dig up everything you need to know and many more. It allows you to monitor how the company is doing and ring the alarm if it's going to collapse in the near future. And the first serious red flag is then the company implements or resources limitations or withdrawals. Increased application processing period, increased minimum amount of agreements, any other additional terms and conditions. Take notice of any changes in the work of the technical support team. If previously they were answering your requests within a couple of days, but now their response time is longer, this can be a bad sign. Some web pages may not load properly, which suggests that they don't have a person in charge of their website. You start seeing error messages or you are dedicated to be hosting page instead of the requested website. It is time to ring the alarm. Any changes in field, payment schedule or to do the terms and conditions shall warn you to make you act, by which I mean withdraw your money fast. A quick word about terms and conditions. They are bullshit. Too many text, obligations and stuff, but you will rarely see real signatures, and most of the terms and conditions stipulate that the company may do whatever it pleases unilaterally. The terms and conditions do not guarantee anything whatsoever. They can serve as indirect evidence in court or to prove your involvement, but in practice they are nothing more than scribbles. They are not even hard copy. If the HYIP stood up against your due diligence, you can bravely pay into it. But before you do, choose your time frame. If your goal is to find a company with life expectancy 6 months or more and long-term investments, opt to the maximum of the 0.5% daily rate of return. If a project offers 10% a day or more, such HYIPs are usually short-lived, up to several months in total, during which you won't be able to return the invested money. This is why it's better to go for long-term projects, which allow you to invest and earn up to 20% of your invested amount, or sometimes more, on a monthly basis. And everything gained is your next profit. That was the case of my notorious ventures.
Crypto finance hype lived for 434 days. Bitcoin's share, which was also claimed as a cryptocurrency project, existed for 340 days. Howrem Bank was a real survivor and existed for 2.5 years. These companies met all of the above requirements, had a serious marketing policy, communicated with their investors, and had good tech support. But on average, a standard HYIP has a much shorter lifespan, 3 to 6 months at most, and most of them won't stand a couple of weeks. The bottom line. Using these simple analytical tools, you'll be able to filter out scam projects and find working HYIPs. Why? You tell me. Apparently, because you want to earn 20% a month and more. But it's important to understand the underlying risk. If a project is recognized as scam, you'll never be able to get your money back. In fact, the risk is always present. Investments in pyramid schemes are not issued by a government. The regulator can take the case of financial fraud to court and even throw its directors to jail, but they have no obligations to repay your investments. There is no legal framework for that. You put your money into that scam voluntarily. You read the terms and conditions. Or you didn't. You've got it. You. And only you are responsible for your loss. So, if you learn to choose your investment projects properly, you'll be responsible only for your profits. Live a wealthy life. Rami.